So now we're going to give a brief demonstration of our front-end product. So our design rationale was to create a tiered overview system. Where first, we give a global overview, which would then transition into a country overview and then an individual issuer level overview. So first off, on the scatter graph, we can see that each individual dot represents a unique country. Moreover, the size of these dots is going to be dependent on the absolute value features, which can, of course, be changed by the user. So we can change these to weighted total assets or total market capitalization. As we can see, the dot size changes dynamically. Now, on the y-axis, we're always going to be setting these to the weighted migration scores, which are the predicted scores of all the issuers in one country weighted against their total market capitalization. And on the x-axis, we're always going to be able to change the features on it, or the relative value features on it, which are going to be our percentages and ratios, which we can change, for example, to the weighted equity over assets. As we can see, the graph changes dynamically. Now, moving on what other elements we have, we also have a global issuer composition, where we can see which issuers are within from what countries. And we also have an early warning indicators monitor, which is going to allow the user to quickly see which of the early warning indicators that have either been set automatically by the system or manually by them have been triggered. And so going back to the scatter graph, when we hover on these dots, we're going to see some brief financial information. And when we click onto them, it's going to take us to the individual peer group dashboard page for this specific country, which I'm now going to pass on to Marcus to explain.
Thank you, Darren. So this is the peer group dashboard for China. The scatter graph on this dashboard is similar to the overview scatter graph, except each dot now represents a company in China we have in our database. On hovering the dots, you can see the company's information for the three axes we show, which you can change by choosing the key performance indicators from the drop-down menu. The next thing is setting early warning indicators. You can set an indicator on a KPI that applies to every company within China. Click on the Add button, and let's say we apply a warning to total assets with a trigger of negative 0.03, meaning if a company's total assets drop by anything larger than 3%, the warning will be triggered. The results can be seen in the overview page. And there we can see that this company dropping 2% below the trigger threshold, meaning its total assets dropped by 5% and triggering the warning. When we click on China to go back to China's dashboard, we can see there's one company going dangerous, while others didn't trigger the warning. Below the EWI, there are graphs displaying the macroeconomic indicators for China if users are interested. Our dynamic graph clearly plots the trends for these macro indicators, and the table below it lists them all out and allows users to download them in CSV formats. And to switch to another country's dashboard, you can select the country on the drop-down menu. Now, drilling down to the company level, this company on the scatter graph of China seems to stand out the most. To view this company's dashboard, you can just click on the dot. The first thing you can see is the latest predictive score we have for this company, also for the trend of the three probabilities that our backend model provides. To provide a benchmark, we also included the weighted predictive score for the company's country, in this case China, and also the global one. On the right, it displays the ranked fluctuation of KPI for this company compared to its last financial year. For this company, its return on average equity had fluctuated the most among its KPIs. This is to let users know what changes in the KPIs that may have potentially led to the migration score on the left. And we have also included the countries and the global's weighted difference for quick benchmarking and comparison. Moving on, the predictive score trend shows our backtested predictive scores, the three probabilities, and Moody's rating across years. When the application is used long enough, it will become a graph reflecting the trend of the predictive scores. Below are graphs displaying the company's key performance indicators. Our dynamic graph clearly plots the trends of the KPIs, and users can select what they want to see based on camels. The table below them lists them all out and allows users to download them in CSV formats for analysis. So this is a dashboard for one of the companies. But what if you want to find out which company has the highest predictive score across the globe? I'll now pass the time to Darren to talk about the company search page.
Thank you, Marcus. So our company search page is where we aggregate all the companies within our database. First off, we attach some simple filtering functions, such as setting lower and upper score boundaries, being able to select individual countries. Now, you're obviously also going to be able to search for the individual tickers. So let's say we want to search for Berkshire Hathaway. It's also good. And now when we click on these Google links that we've attached to every single issuer, it's going to take you to a page where you can always look at more details if you wish to look into it. We've also attached a latest predictive score, as well as quick links to the individual issuers page, as well as the peer group dashboards where we can conveniently set EWIs. Now, one useful feature of this page is its ability to bookmark pages that we can save for later dates. So let's say we want to save this issuer, and maybe we even want to save the entire country of Canada. Now, when we go to our watch list page, we're able to see that it's saved these specific pages which we have no links to, which we can later look back quickly on at a later date. Now, moving on to the final and last feature of our dashboard, we have our custom input or our hypothetical what-if scenarios. Now, first off, we're going to ask the user to import an existing issuer's financials. So let's say, again, we want to look at the Agricultural Bank of China. Now we can see that we've successfully been able to import its data. And now when we look at the year 2020, the latest year that we have data for, let's say that we don't think that its total assets was 320 billion in this year. Let's say we think it was 400 billion. So let's change that. Now we see that it's also attached a percentage function showing how much we've changed this by compared to the real value. And now when we go further up, we see that the dashboard is able to give us a hypothetical score based on the model that we created, showing the original predictive score based on the data, and based on our change, what would be the hypothetical score. So this function really enables the user to test the hypothesis and validate sort of the assumptions that they might have or they might make along the way. So this concludes our demonstration of the front-end product. Now we're going to pass the time back to Emily to explain a case study that we have. Thank you.